Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today's presentation is all about how to stop overthinking without going numb. The title is How to Stop Overthinking Without Going Numb, and the subtitle is Presence. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore practical ways to stay present, manage overthinking, and maintain emotional balance. So, let's dive in and discover how you can find peace and clarity in your daily life. Thinking is one of the mind's greatest strengths, until it becomes a cage. At first, overthinking might seem like a protective mechanism. Your mind loops through different scenarios, rehearses possible outcomes, scans for danger, and calculates every move. What looks like intelligence is often driven by underlying fear of making mistakes, losing control, or feeling regret. Initially, this loop feels productive. You might call it planning, reflecting, or considering your options. But over time, the energy shifts. The clarity that thinking was supposed to bring starts to dissolve into noise. Instead of planning your next step, you find yourself reliving your last one. And that's the trap. Thinking is a strength, but it can also become a cage that keeps us stuck. Overthinking doesn't actually stem from a lack of clarity. Instead, it comes from being too attached to certainty. When we cling to the need to be sure about everything, we tend to overanalyze, which often leads us into a kind of paralysis. We get stuck in our heads, and eventually, this exhaustion causes us to shut down into numbness. The key point here is that the goal isn't to stop thinking altogether. Instead, it's about restoring that natural movement between thought and action. We want to find a sense of calm, not silence, a space where our minds can pause without feeling overwhelmed. It's also about finding freedom, not avoiding difficult thoughts or decisions. Overthinking begins as a form of analysis, trying to understand every detail, but it often ends up as anxiety, where those thoughts spiral into worry and fear. So the overall message is that overthinking is a process that can be shifted. By recognizing that it's rooted in attachment to certainty, we can work toward a healthier relationship with our thoughts, allowing us to move more freely and confidently through our lives. So, here's a fascinating connection. The brain links planning and reward through dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that really motivates us to pursue our goals. When you start imagining a possible future, maybe a new project, a conversation you're looking forward to, or even a resolution, your brain actually releases dopamine in anticipation of that reward. What this means is that planning can feel exciting, even before you've taken any action. But here's the tricky part. If you keep planning without actually moving forward, your brain continues to seek that same dopamine hit. So, you might begin to crave the feeling of preparation itself more than the actual progress or completion. This creates a kind of reward loop. Overthinking isn't laziness or indecision. It's your brain chasing that chemical satisfaction without ever reaching closure. It's like your mind gets stuck in what I call almost, where you're constantly close to finishing but never quite there. It's similar to checking your phone for messages you never send. Your system rewards the anticipation, not the actual outcome. And here's the real tragedy. It's not that we think too much, but that we stay too long in those thoughts that go nowhere. Anticipation starts to feel like achievement, even when nothing's really been accomplished. So, understanding this dopamine-driven cycle is key to breaking free from endless overthinking and moving into real progress. Let's take a closer look at the loop and release model. Overthinking often feels like a never-ending cycle because it really is. Each loop of thought starts with some uncertainty, an initial question or doubt that triggers our mind. From there, we tend to analyze the situation, trying to find answers or solutions. This analysis can lead to mental fatigue, which is that sense of exhaustion after overthinking. Then we often experience a temporary sense of relief, like we've found some clarity or reassurance. But here's the catch. Just as quickly as that relief appears, a new trigger or doubt reemerges, reopening the loop. So what we're dealing with is a cycle. Doubt leads to analysis, which causes fatigue, then relief, only for doubt to come back again. The key point here is that breaking this cycle isn't about forcing yourself to stop or suppress your thoughts. Instead, it's about creating a natural way to release those thoughts, an off-ramp for your mind. That's really the essence of the loop and release model, understanding this cycle and finding healthy ways to let go, rather than getting caught in it endlessly. Let's explore the 3 movements of the loop and release model. First, we have to name the loop. When your mind is caught in overthinking, it often feels like a relentless cycle. By labeling it as a loop, you're essentially giving it less power. It's like saying, "This isn't clarity, it's a cycle," which helps you see it for what it is and reduces its authority over you. Next, we move to locating the body. Every overthought has a physical echo, perhaps a tight jaw, a raised shoulder, or a shallow breath. Bringing awareness to these bodily sensations is crucial. When you ground yourself physically, you interrupt the mental cycle. It's about connecting with your body to break the pattern of overthinking. Finally, we focus on moving the energy. Overthinking consumes a lot of mental energy, but often doesn't produce any real movement forward. Engaging in gentle actions like walking, writing, sketching, or just breathing deeply can help convert that static thought into a flow. Remember, thinking and feeling are meant to move together. They shouldn't be competing for control. Moving the energy helps you reconnect with that natural flow and brings you back to the present moment. All right, now I want to introduce you to a practical tool called the 3-minute map. The idea here is to set a timer for 3 minutes and use that time to write down or record everything you're thinking about regarding one specific issue. The key is to just get it all out. No editing, no stopping to analyze, just stream of consciousness. When the time's up, stop immediately. The important part is that you don't go back and rewrite or judge what you've captured. This practice helps you externalize your thoughts, which is crucial because clarity begins when you put your ideas outside of your head. When you do that, those thoughts lose their echo. They become clearer, more concrete. So the main takeaway is that externalizing your thoughts quickly and without self-censorship allows you to see things more clearly and understand what really matters. This simple exercise can be a powerful step toward better thinking and decision-making as part of your overall journey toward clearer, more focused communication. Now, let's talk about the second key component, the body anchor. This is about choosing one grounding cue, something simple like a deep exhale, placing your hand on your heart, or touching a physical object. The idea is that each time you notice your thoughts spiraling or becoming overwhelmed, you gently return your focus to this cue. This helps retrain your brain to associate safety and calmness with being present, rather than constantly planning or worrying about the future. It's a practical tool that you can practice regularly, and over time, it will become a reliable way to anchor yourself in the moment. Remember, the goal is to create a new, calming connection between your body and your sense of safety. So find what works best for you and make it a part of your routine. Now let's talk about the concept of the dopamine shift. When we plan or visualize success, our brain releases dopamine, giving us that satisfying rush. But here's the key. If we only focus on visualizing success, we risk reinforcing inaction. Instead, we need to redirect that dopamine into action itself. So rather than just imagining the end result, we should visualize completion. Think about closing the loop, sending that message, or finishing the task at hand. This trains our reward system to value movement and progress more than just imagining the outcome. This is what I like to call the dopamine shift. By making this shift, we train ourselves to find more satisfaction in actual movement and tangible results, rather than just the idea of success. It's about rewiring our brain to prioritize action, which ultimately leads to more consistent progress and achievement. Let's talk about the one decision rule. The idea here is simple but powerful. Make one decision even if it's small or imperfect. It doesn't have to be perfect or final. The goal is to break the cycle of overthinking and hesitation. When you make that decision, it acts like an emotional reset. It signals to your mind, "Hey, we've done enough looping. It's time to move forward." Even micro decisions, tiny, everyday choices, serve this purpose. They tell your brain, "The loop has served its purpose for now," and that allows you to close that cycle. So, by adopting this rule, you're not just making decisions, you're resetting your emotional state and freeing yourself to progress. Now let's talk about the gentle reframe. Often, we think we're overthinking, but really, it's not that we're thinking too much. It's that we're feeling too little safety to make a decision. When we don't feel safe, our minds get busy, trying to sort things out, but it's actually our sense of safety that's missing. The good news is, once we add safety, whether that's through conscious breathing, creating a supportive environment, or trusting ourselves more, it becomes easier for our thoughts to settle down naturally. It's like giving ourselves permission to relax and trust that things will be okay. This idea of self-trust is key because it's what allows us to quiet that mental chatter. When we feel safe, our brain doesn't need to keep spinning to find solutions or reassurance. Instead, clarity and calmness emerge naturally. So, the overall theme here is that by shifting our focus from trying to control our thoughts to cultivating safety, we create a gentle space for decision-making to happen more effortlessly. It's a subtle but powerful reframe that can truly transform how we handle stress and uncertainty. The opposite of overthinking isn't impulsivity, it's presence. When our minds are quiet, it doesn't mean they're empty, it means they're aligned. A calm, clear mind allows us to see things more clearly and act more intentionally. Every time we let go of the need to have perfect foresight, we create space for real insight to emerge. It's about trusting ourselves enough to step into the unknown without overanalyzing every detail. And when we act, we're not just moving, we're teaching our brains that uncertainty isn't something to fear, but something to explore as a realm of possibility. You don't need to shut your mind off completely. Instead, you just need to give it direction. Thought acts as a compass, guiding us, and action is the path that takes us forward. When these two work together, they lead us to a place of true freedom where clarity and action meet, and we can move confidently through life. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, share it with others who might find it helpful, and subscribe to stay updated on future content. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Remember, How to New is really about inner athletics. It's not about competing against others, but about striving for excellence within ourselves. It's about developing that inner discipline, resilience, and growth mindset that pushes us to be better every day. So, keep focusing on your internal progress, and thank you again for being part of this journey.